Hi everyone, it's a nice Monday afternoon here in sunny Queensland. I've been thinking with the carnivore diet now, I'm 94 kilos still and I'm not going to panic about it. It is what it is. I guess I'll slowly lose the extra weight over time, but it's all here. There's none anywhere else, it's just all here. And maybe that's a function of getting older, I just don't know. But anyway, I'm not panicking about it. But what I have been doing is I've been looking at the evolutionary biologists and what they've got to say, because when you think about it, we've only ever had this obesity problem and all the other problems with diet and everything for the last 40 or 50 years. That's it. Prior to that, the body acted differently. It didn't have to cope with excess. It was designed over thousands and thousands, millions maybe of years, to deal with famine, never with this constant excess and variability of diet. So I've been looking at some of what they've had to say, and look, a few things stuck out. One was about milk. Now, I used to drink milk as sort of comfort food. I used to think, well, I haven't got many luxuries in life, but I can drink a bottle of milk every second day or every day even. Until one of these biologists was talking about, back in the cavemen days, talking about mothers, mothers feeding their young. And what he says was, it made a lot of sense. He was saying that the mother's milk supply rose and fell with the available food she had. So, Dad would come home and he'd bring a giraffe with him and they'd all eat giraffe, and the mothers would produce a lot of milk for the baby. But the baby's response to that, in evolutionary terms, was to convert the lactose to glycogen in the liver and store it in the liver, so that when the leaner times came, the baby still had glycogen stored in the liver and it could supplement the milk with the glycogen. And that made a heck of a lot of sense, and I tried to translate that into what I was doing, and basically I guess I was filling up with glycogen in my liver, and I wasn't going to lose a drop of weight until all that was used up. So I thought that was interesting, and I stopped drinking milk. Now, for reasons I don't fully understand, I didn't start dropping weight, but it made sense. Another thing they talk about is, like, back in those days, Dad would bring home a giraffe, and they'd all eat giraffe for a couple of weeks. And the stomach would say to the brain, you've had enough. But now, what happens apparently is, you sit down to your nice plate of steak and chips and all the rest of it. Now, you can have enough steak, so your body feels, your brain tells your body you've had enough steak, but it doesn't tell you about the mashed potatoes and gravy and chips and vegetables and all the other goodies. So it's getting all these, mixed signals to your brain, like, yeah, we've had enough steak, but we haven't quite had enough mashed potato and gravy, and on it went. So it's this variety of food we put on our plate, apparently, that's sending mixed signals to our brain, which is why we just overeat all the time. Now, that also sounds good, but the exception to the rules, there's always exceptions. Oh, I don't know how that would explain the Japanese. Now, the Japanese aren't known to be fat people, but they do eat variety. They eat fish and rice and vegetables and stuff like that. I've never heard of, the Japanese aren't generally regarded as an obese race. So that's the exception to that. But nevertheless, it wasn't a bad observation. Now, the biggest one for me, I thought of, was all around me, I've had people with this terrible flu, and there's only 3 of us work here full time, so 2 of the 3 of us have had this terrible flu. I've totally missed it. Now it's hacking cough in bed for a week. You get really, really sick, and you feel sick to the point of dying. They look like that. And I was wondering, is my immune system just fantastic now after a year? I'm not sure, but I tell you, the other thing I thought about, and this ties in with the evolution, for a year now, I haven't been exposed to pesticides, because pesticides are generally found on the fruit and vegetables. So I've had a year to get that out of my system, and maybe my immune system isn't being compromised by those pesticides anymore, and I'm able to fight off illness. Now, both of these people who are ill are younger than me. They're not on my diet. But that's worth thinking about, because our body hasn't had time to adapt to pesticides in food, or on food. We ingest pesticides. It's only the last 40 years. It's basically since the war, when we started producing all these fancy chemicals, herbicides, pesticides, and all the rest of it. So even though, we can eat grass-fed beef and we really don't know what we're getting, but, we're fairly sure that it's pesticide and herbicide free. So maybe that's an issue. I don't know, but I reckon that's worth thinking about. Now, another couple of interesting things is I've stuck with it. I've stuck with it now for 13 months. And prior to doing this, I had no discipline in my life at all. Like, I didn't need to. I just started getting fatter and fatter over time, until one day I'd had enough. I was tired, fat, lazy. I thought I was lazy. I was just tired, worn out. So I started this, and all of a sudden everything got better. And 12 months later, everything's a lot better. But I'll tell you what, though. I started, as I said in one of the previous videos, I started going for walks and started doing weights. And I've developed this sort of, it's a sort of a perverse gratification from the discipline. And I'll tell you, it's robbing me of a lot of the fun in my life. I used to go for a walk and stroll around the botanical gardens. It was beautiful. And then, I don't know why, but on a whim I bought a stopwatch. Now I walk with the stopwatch. And I can tell you, yesterday I went for my walking track, which I thought was 5 kilometres, but obviously isn't, because I'm walking it too fast. But say 3 days ago, it took me 32 minutes and 20 seconds. And yesterday it only took me 31 minutes and 3 seconds. Now, this is getting a bit perverse, because now I can't go for a walk without my stopwatch. And I'm always trying to beat my previous time. And it's like doing the weights. I stuck with it. They say, gyms make money out of people. They get all fired up and go. But I'm getting this perverse gratification from punishing myself by doing it every second day relentlessly. I don't kill myself, but the only time I've stopped, I've had 3 little breaks, and they were all to do with injury. I hurt my elbow at one stage, and I hurt my shoulder, and I was a week or 2 recovering, but in that whole week or 2, I'm feeling guilty and feeling bad, and I want to get into it, and I want to do more. So I've become a sort of like a discipline addict, like that. And it's maybe because I never have been disciplined before. But the thing is, it is robbing the joy out of what I do. I'm forever competing against myself, and I don't relax. So that's probably the most interesting observation I've got. I won't go too much further, but I'm getting some really good comments. So I'd like your opinion on what I've just said, especially about maybe the evolutionary biologists and their point. It's all very interesting to look at, and I learn from it, but I'm not sure how I can apply any of the principles, except for maybe not drinking milk, but again, that didn't help. But I am fairly convinced that not having the pesticides has been a good thing. With the other areas, it's like my car. I polish my car incessantly now. It's this discipline that I've sort of not become addicted to. I think it's obsessiveness almost. Not that I'm hyperactive or anything, but I always am trying to do a little bit better, a little bit harder, a little bit faster, lift something a little bit heavier. And it is taking a lot of my joy away. I don't get as much depression as I used to. I used to have bouts of depression during the diet. I don't really get them anymore, and nothing's changed. But I am losing the simple joys of life, and I'd like to get them back, and I don't know how. But anyway, for now, I'll leave it at that. It's just a quick update, and let me know what you think. I don't want to go through life joyless, but I don't want to go back to, being fat and basically unhealthy. So thanks, that's about it, and I look forward to your comments and talk again soon. Thank you.